Jacobs. I'm the executive chef at Hidden Valley Country Club. Most of you probably know me. If you don't, come up and say hello. So today I'm going to assemble a lasagna, and the recipe for the sauces will be in the newsletter so that you can see exactly what it is, but for the sake of time we're going to just pretty much do the assembly for it. I have basically a bechamel that I've added a little bit of Parmesan cheese to. I have a bolognese, and here at the club I do a real bolognese with ground pork, ground veal, and ground beef. I have ricotta cheese, I have Parmesan cheese shredded, I have shredded mozzarella, I have eggs, I have some shredded Asiago, and I also have some wilted spinach and a little bit of arugula. And it's your choice whether you want to put this kind of thing into your lasagna or not, but I always figure with kids that I sneak it into the lasagna. They can't tell that it's really there, and that way they get some vegetables when they're eating. I also have some sheet pasta. You can buy this sheet pasta. I've seen it at Harmon's, I've seen it at Smith's, I believe I've seen it. It's a frozen product, and it just comes in full sheets. It's basically a raw dough. It hasn't been dried out, so it just makes life easier if you don't have to boil the noodles. If you're going to use dry lasagna noodles, only cook them for about 2 minutes so that they're very al dente. The pasta will absorb the liquids from the sauce so that your lasagna is a little bit more dense and it won't slide out when you cut it or anything like that. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mix my cheeses together. So I've got basically about 5 pounds of ricotta. In this situation, you know, I'll make a couple lasagnas. So I'm just going to put this into my bowl. Then I'm going to sprinkle about a tablespoon of dried oregano into the cheese. Sticking to my gloves. I'm going to use about a cup of the shredded mozzarella. Cup of the Parmesan. A cup of the Asiago. I'm also going to put my spinach and stuff in there. That way they can't take it out. It's the sneaky way. It has been chopped. I'm going to kind of squeeze this to get some of that liquid out of there. This is good for little kids and big male kids that don't like vegetables. Okay, next I'm going to take, so as I learned how to do this, I use 1 egg for every pound of cheese or every pound of the ricotta that I'm going to put into the lasagnas. So in this case, I'm going to crack 5 eggs, just beat them lightly, and then we'll just fold them into the cheese mixture. Just put those in the eggs. Mix it up. You don't need to add any seasoning because the Parmesan and the Asiago have quite a bit of salt in them. So same thing goes with this when you're making this sauce, I always add a little bit of Parmesan cheese into it. Don't season your sauce until after you've added the Parmesan. You don't want it to be heavy on salt. So there's your cheese mixture, spinach stash. Okay, so a little bit of spray release on the pan. I use these aluminum ones, that way we can just get rid of them. Then I always start with the bolognese. So this could be a marinara also, and my recipe for my marinara is almost exactly what the bolognese is, with the addition of the meats, obviously. So you're gonna put a nice layer down at the bottom. It's gonna help release when you cut it. It's also makes it so that it gives that moisture for that pasta to cook in. And we'll just add a sheet of pasta. You can see how much easier these pasta sheets are than trying to lay out noodles and all of that kind of stuff. It almost fits exactly where you want it to be. And the pasta's in the frozen section if you're looking for it. Then I always add a bit of this cream sauce before I add my cheese. And cheese is, you can see how kind of liquidy that cream sauce is, and I didn't thicken it all the way because I want the moisture for the pasta sheets. Then I add the cheese and spinach mix. It doesn't have to be perfect, I'm just trying to get it to cover. It's all going to melt and kind of spread itself out anyway. And then I just, you know, it's just layers after that. And I go one white, one red, one white, one red. Lasagna can be made with just straight vegetables also. I mean, well, not straight vegetables because you have to have the cheese in there. What's good of lasagna without cheese? But you can layer zucchini in there, you can whatever ingredients you want, eggplant for that matter. Just remember that pre-cook the vegetables so that you're taking some of the water out of it. You don't want it watery. Cheese. So this will be the last layer, and I'll end with the red sauce, and then I put a healthy portion of mozzarella and Parmesan and Asiago onto the, I keep this tomato sauce layer a little bit lighter. cheese. Touch of Asiago. And then when you bake it for about an hour in a 300 to 320 degree oven. And then you need to let it rest for about a half an hour to 45 minutes. It'll hold enough heat that you don't need to rewarm it or anything like that. But it allows all that pasta to absorb the liquids in it, and it just cuts a lot nicer and portions out a lot nicer. When you bake it covered for about 40 minutes with aluminum foil. So if you're going to use like a normal glass Pyrex dish of baking dish of some sort, aluminum foil over the top or the glass lid. If it's got a glass lid, is fine. Just make sure you spray it. Otherwise, all your cheese is going to peel off when you try to take the lid off for the last 20 minutes of baking. So that's a very rapid lesson in lasagna. I'll put all the recipes for any of those sauces on the newsletter so that you guys can make it. At home, if I'm making this kind of thing, I do several so that I don't have to do it every time. I can just pull it out of the freezer, let it defrost, and then go right into the oven with it and bake it off. You can also bake a whole pan, and if it's only two in the house or whatever, you know, you get what, 6 nice pieces of lasagna here. If it's set up and you let the other, you know, if you eat 2 and then you have the other 4, let it chill in the refrigerator, cut it all up, wrap it in plastic wrap, and then you can just plop it out on a plate, stick it in the microwave to reheat it. So it's a good thing for empty nesters. It's also good for the whole family.